This is the Yes We Canada podcast, an independent podcast that relies on your support for...
Hey, Matt, sorry about that. Are you going to do it?
Do what?
The correction?
Right. Okay. On the last episode of Yes We Canada, I erroneously accused Minority Leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, of being a vegan. This is not true. Senator Cory Booker is a vegan. Hakeem Jeffries is a carnivore. I got my cool black dudes in Congress mixed up. I apologize.
Nice. That ought to get the lawsuit dropped. Stand by to continue pitching for salaries in 3, 2, rolling.
Yes We Canada is an independent podcast committed to the truth and reliant on your goodwill. Please support the show with a monthly subscription at buzzsprout/yeswecanada.com. Hit the support button and you can cancel at any time. We're very thankful for your support. It means a lot. Okay, let's Yes We Canada and chill.
This is the Yes We Canada podcast, the progressive's guide to getting the fuck out.
Hey, I'm Matt Zimbel, just outside of Montreal, and what a beautiful summer night it is. Oh, my progressives, you must be exhausted. I know I am. The daily Trump barrage of lies, cruelty, and garbage governing, it's debilitating. The complicit Congress, the hourly dose of racism and division from the Millers and the Voights, Alligator Alcatraz, the Speedway Slammer, tariffs up, tariffs down, Gaza will become a resort, Ukraine shouldn't have started the war, and the FBI is going to arrest the Texas Democrats who are currently in exile in Illinois. And just when you started to get bored, the DOJ announced an investigation into New York prosecutor Letitia James, who charged Trump in New York in the hush money case, which led to a jury of his peers finding him guilty on all 34 counts. FOTUS, felon of the United States. Gotcha, you fucker. I was a pacifist, not anymore. You, my little friend, should have been a blood donor. But really, American politics is more than disagreements on policy positions at this point. It's the arrival of fascism in slow-mo. No, fuck it, it's not slow-mo, it's fast forward. It's fast fascism. It's the lawlessness, the lack of respect for human dignity. Did you hear that in January, Trump signed an executive order prohibiting trans people from serving in the military? It was retroactive, so they had to kick out all the existing trans personnel. But of course, they didn't just kick them out. No, they did it gleefully with maximum cruelty. Okay, if you serve in the military for 15 to 18 years, you can apply for early retirement. It's your right to do so. But not the trans members who have served for 15 to 18 years. They just have to quit or face removal, which is not an honorable discharge. Their only option is to take their severance and fuck all the way off. And when the trans people in the military, quote, retire against their will, they will be further humiliated because they will not be allowed to wear their uniform at the retirement ceremony, which is a long-standing military tradition. And in a final kick-em-when-they're-down move that only the Trump administration could muster, the trans service members are also being forced to return to their birth names for their exit ceremony. So, Sergeant Major Sean McPherson, looking sharp in his military buzz cut and mustache, will be dressed in his civvies and will become Sergeant Major Susie McPherson. Oh yeah, and thank you for your service. Over 4,000 members identify as trans in the military. Now, you know the U.S. military is having a bugger of a time recruiting. Why? Because the American processed food diet creates obesity, and obese people do not qualify for the military. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest fighting force in world history, the Gravy Seals! Man, a war in Ukraine, a genocide in Gaza, and who's at the table? utter idiots answering to a guy who self-identifies as a master negotiator but managed to bankrupt casinos. Yes, plural. In 1974, the Pulitzer Prize-winning author David Halberstam wrote a book called The Best and the Brightest, which detailed the group of academics and industrialists who were brought into the Kennedy administration in the early 1960s. They were thought to be the best and the brightest, whiz kids, if you will, a term from the 60s if there ever was one. They advocated for the war in Vietnam because they didn't want to appear to be weak on the growth of communism, an issue that might hurt them at the polls in the next American election. At the time, the professional diplomats and Foreign Service brain trust at the State Department, aka Foggy Bottom, didn't think the war was either wise or winnable. But the whiz kids thought otherwise and dismissed them. Does that sound vaguely familiar? As Modis tries to secure his Nobel Peace Prize by ending the war in Ukraine and Gaza, he's surrounded by former real estate developer and diplomatic newbie Steve Witkoff, Secretary of State Little Marco, and Southern Baptist intellectual, the new American ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee.
Hi, this is Mike Huckabee. Isn't it amazing how so much that President Trump said still rings true? But schools and the media don't want our kids to hear anything positive. And that's why my team created the Kids Guide to President Trump.
See, you have nothing to worry about. DT couldn't win an Emmy for The Apprentice, but by God, he's going to get his Nobel Peace Prize if it's the last thing he does. Which could also be the last thing any of us do. Oh, Jesus, this political stuff is so boring. You want to talk about the weather? Because I do. The weather is interesting these days. Nothing to do with climate change, of course. But here's some breaking weather news. The National Weather Service is hiring! Hiring back 450 of the 500 meteorologists that they fired just in March. Department of Government Efficiency? Elon, you are a douchebag. Waste, fraud, and abuse? How about all the medicine that USAID had for distribution that's now going to be incinerated instead of life-saving? But you guys know that Modis is passionate about waste, fraud, and abuse, particularly in the medical sector, which is why he pardoned a health executive from California who was accused of ripping off more than $1 billion from Medicaid and Medicare through nursing home and senior care facility scams. This was among the largest fraud in American history ever. Oops, pardon me.
And those are federal vehicles driving through the Fashion District that you're seeing on your screen right now. Dozens of people were taken into custody. They're flashbangs trying to clear the way for that convoy to go through. There are Bearcats, armored cars and armored trucks going through. Both the FBI and Homeland Security were conducting these raids without the participation of the LAPD.
ICE is rounding up 3,000 people a day based on the color of their skin and their capacity to speak Spanish. Farms, hotels, meatpacking plants, healthcare facilities, everybody is starving for people to work. And what does your masterful leader do? Why, he terrifies and deports the very people who do all the jobs Americans think they're too goddamn good for. Donnie, didn't you used to be in the hotel business? Right. And the casino business? Which you managed to bankrupt a casino. Oh, you are a bright one, aren't you? I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to stay out here on the porch and bore you to death, but here's a good one. Rolling Stone reported this week that the online version of the Constitution of the United States was suddenly missing parts of Article 1, parts of Section 8, all of Sections 9 and 10. Now, I know you guys have memorized these sections of the Constitution, but for the benefits of our large Canadian audience, these sections deal with the rights and the duties of Congress. They specify that habeas corpus cannot be suspended, that only Congress can levy tariffs, and that the President cannot accept gifts from foreign countries. Pi.
Yo.
Can you throw in some sound design of like a really expensive airplane? I don't know, like let's say a 747-8 luxury liner registered in, Qatar?
Oh yeah.
So the White House says, oh goodness, how could this happen? All these articles seem to be missing from our online constitution. Heavens to Murgatroyd. And in perhaps the absolute best, the dog ate my homework moment from this administration of fools, they claimed that there had been a coding glitch and that the document would be restored right away. Oh my God. Okay, stretch. We're going to do a little breathing here. Okay, breathe in for 4 and hold for 4 and breathe out for 4. Okay, breathe in for 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, 4, and let it out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Now, you guys do that again. Keep working on it. I'm just going to have a smoke here because, you know, we can smoke in yoga here in Montreal, no problem. Okay, so with everything going on in America, I really do think that now is the time for you to consider the Canadian option. I know the midterms are only 18 months away, and they're getting you all riled up. I can hear you. How could I leave now? I'm American. I have to fight for my country. I do agree with that. But, ever so briefly, you glance north. Canada curious? Fight or flight? Well, you're American, so it's fight, no question. But you're so tired, so weary, so disappointed in my fellow Americans. And just how did your fellow Americans become a nation of dumb, gullible, unread people? Well, you don't think it's an accident, do you? I mean, Senator Mitch McConnell served the good people of Kentucky for 42 years, and Kentucky is still ranked 39th out of 50 states for its educational performance. Son bitch. And if you're looking for the chairman of the Dumb Down the Citizens Bureau, look no further than Rupert fucking Murdoch, owner of Fox News. He's an Aussie and unquestionably the best argument ever for closing the U.S. border. Since the end of the Civil War, there has never been one person who has soiled the American experiment more than Australian Rupert fucking Murdoch. Fuck off, Bruce. I mean, maybe it's time to bust a move, right? Maybe we can help. Canada could become your closest sanctuary country. We need more leftists. We need more people who are willing to work hard, who are enterprising, and who are willing to do the jobs Canadians won't do, like stand up to Trump. Our new PM, Mark Carney, is starting to make his mark. Trump wants to tariff our softwood lumber even more than he usually does. No problem, says Carney. We'll just support forestry with $1.2 billion in grants and debt relief and build more Canadian homes with our own lumber. In the country where forest fires are demolishing millions of hectares each summer, what could possibly go wrong?
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day. I put on women's clothing and hang around in bars.
And in Canada, under Carney, we're going to invest in our military. Tinge hut! And we're super excited to buy 88 American F-35 fighter jets. Whereas countries with cojones like Spain and India told the Americans to fuck off after the tariffs were announced and canceled their F-35 orders. Oh, and just for the record, Trump did not call India and Spain the 52nd and 53rd states. Up here in Canada, Stan, we even caved on the digital services tax before we even got into the negotiations. Facebook, Google, Netflix, YouTube, all the platforms that make billions of dollars from their Canadian clients are obliged, or were, to contribute to the cultural fabric of the country. I mean, that's just what we do here. It's what they do in Europe. It's what they do in Britain. Nah, we just shut the DST shit down right away to please Modus, moron of the United States. And guys, it's not just me who thinks he's a moron. The New York Times has a phrase that they increasingly keep using, and I'm sure it's now in their style guide under correct description of an ignorant presidential move. The phrase is, quote, "It's not clear that Trump has properly thought this through." Oh man, I love that so much. I'm going to say it again. It's not clear that Trump has properly thought this through. Do I have hope? I do. I hope. I can get into the cottage before this rainstorm destroys my vintage German microphone and soils my Yes We Canada script, which was written on birch bark with a charcoal pencil. No, in fact, I do have hope. It's not hope at the ballot box. It's hope at the mailbox. The right-wing populist base will eventually realize that trickle-down economics doesn't work now, and it's never worked. They will realize that Trump's tariffs only increase the cost of everything they buy, and they're producing no factories or jobs in the U.S. in the short term. They will mourn the lack of options when their 14-year-old daughter comes home pregnant. They will hear their politicians say yet again, "Now's not the time to discuss gun control," after another devastating mass shooting that this time was in their community. They'll watch the 1% applaud Trump's tax cuts while their regional hospital closes and their aging mother is no longer eligible for Medicare because she don't have a job. They'll watch as their friends who work at Walmart and still can't make ends meet lose their SNAP benefits. They'll watch when the tornadoes rip through town, but FEMA doesn't. They'll feel it when their son's best friend at school dies from a measles outbreak because we're Maha now, baby, making America healthy again, which doesn't include vaccines or science. But oh, my Republicans, science does have a way of biting stupid people in the arse. Just ask conservative American radio hosts Dick Farrell, Phil Valentine, and Mark Bernier. Oh, no, sorry. You can't ask them, for they are metaphysically challenged at the moment after not taking their COVID jabs. Formerly right-wing, presently 6 feet under. The right ain't right. We got that on our side, and I know how deeply arrogant that must sound. But what is on our side? Think about it. Compassion, caring, kindness, sympathy, justice, equality, innovation. Fuck, even Jesus is on our side. The Republican Party's disdain for its MAGA base will at some point have a reckoning. Whether it's Alex Jones crying on air about the fact that DOJ is not releasing the Epstein files, or if it's Congressman Mike Flood from Nebraska getting some constituent love at his most recent town hall. You can feel the base marinating in disgruntlement.
How much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
And no, it's not just Democrats flooding the zone. So, should you move to Canada? Yes. We need you smart, enterprising, self-centered people with us. I'm serious. Can you move to Canada? Well, that's another question entirely, and it's a tough one. In fact, we did an entire episode on that called Happy Landing Immigrant, Episode 6, Season 3. It's hard to get in here unless you're a doctor who drives long-distance trucks on the weekend. We have a housing crisis, our job numbers are not so cool, and also, frankly, we're kind of pissed at you guys at the moment for obvious reasons. But if I was a carny barker, I'd say, let 'em in. Let the brain drain flow north. S'il vous plaît. Oh, shit. Excuse me. Would you? I gotta run. Thanks for listening to Yes We Canada. Our announcer is Lisa Evans. Our sound designer and engineer is Pi Salen Cutler. The theme to Yes We Canada was written by Doug Wilde and myself, Matt Zimbel, and was performed by Manteca. You can subscribe to Yes We Canada for only $3 a month by going to buzzsprout/yeswecanada.com and hitting the support button. Your support means a great deal. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.